The Digital Photography Cafe show is brought to you by Focus Pyramid, the autofocus lens calibration tool for your camera, and by ShootProof, the easy way to proof and sell your photos online.
Welcome to the Digital Photography Cafe show. Join hosts Trevor Curran and Joseph Christina as they chat about the art and business of photography.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. This is episode 130. I'm Joseph Christina here with my co-host Trevor Curran. On last week's episode, we talked about the FAA grounding aerial photography businesses, the beautifully retro Nikon DF, and asked the question, do Facebook ads really work? If you haven't watched last week's show, I encourage you to do so. You can find it at our website, digitalphotographycafe.com. In iTunes, listen with the popular Stitcher, TuneIn, and Xbox music apps, or watch in HD on TiVo.
So, Joe, we are back, and I think you're partially back, man.
Yes, I am. Now I'm sick.
Now you're
sick. The last time I'm jacked up. The kids are sick, and it's the Florida thing. All of you snowbirds come down and give us the funk, and now I'm funked.
That's right, and then we leave in a few months.
Yeah, love you guys. But you contribute to the economy, so
it's all
keep
good.
coming. Keep coming.
That's right. It's all good.
So anyways, we got a pretty good show for you guys this week. I think we're going to start out with something a little bit more on the comical side, I think, right?
Yeah. This was crazy. So came across this video this week of a guy. He's a wildlife photographer, I guess. He was out shooting, and he came across this young bull elk. And
right.
Somebody captured this video of this man, this photographer, sitting on the ground, kind of, protecting himself as best he could, as this young bull elk continually headbutts him, wanting him to play. I don't even know what he wanted to do with him. He wasn't really hurting him. I mean, he wasn't being super aggressive, but he kept just nudging him with his head. Come on, let's play or something, Nuts.
Yeah, it's pretty scary. I mean, you look at it and it's like, oh my God. I mean, these things are razor sharp.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, he could impale this guy in a split second and just throw him, because these things, even though it's it's pretty young, it probably weighs 200-300 pounds, 400 pounds. I don't know. It's pretty
definitely
big.
weighs more than he did for sure.
Yeah, it's probably double. And I mean, I don't know what this guy was thinking. I would have got out, and he's actually taking pictures during this whole time.
I know.
And then you see him, partially in the video, looking down on the screen to see if he got it just right.
I know. He's chimping at the back of the camera. Yeah.
Really? I mean, you're about ready to die, being impaled through your throat or something with these sharp. I mean, I don't know.
Well, he stayed calm. I mean, that's really the big thing when I don't really shoot wildlife other than from a safe distance. But I mean, I guess if you're out in the wild and you're shooting, I mean, you have to know your environment. You have to know how animals will react. And, he had said in the blog article that, he felt that he wanted to stay calm and not do any big motions or anything to freak the elk out. And so he kind of just basically tucked up in a ball. He was sitting cross-legged on the ground, protecting himself. And, he kept putting his head down when the elk would come in to headbutt him. So he would butt him in the top of the head as opposed to the face, And, but eventually, I guess the photographer finally just had enough. He didn't want to get headbutt anymore. So he kind of gestured at the elk, and he kind of jumped back and stuff. And then a car came up and pulled up, and he finally stood up. The elk jumped back again, and then he got in the car. And then the elk proceeded to want to chew on his gear,
Yeah, this is what happens. You're doing wildlife stuff. So I guess the moral of the story is, spend some dough, and buy a longer lens or something. He's sitting there with this little short lens, taking pictures at honestly a foot away from this thing. It's I don't know.
Yeah.
Get it together. Get it. I mean, it's just crazy.
Get a long lens.
Crazy.
Yeah, we'll have a link to the video in the show notes. Give it a watch. It's a little long, but it's definitely entertaining and one of those holy crap moments. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, one of those moments. I would not be there for sure.
No, that's right.
So I know, during, I think it was one of the Photo Plus Expos or WPPIs, we got mugs. I think you got Canon mugs. I got Nikon mugs. Matter of fact, I'm actually drinking some of my tea because I'm sick from a Nikon mug, even though I'm a Canon shooter.
Yes.
But anyways, then you have Canon. Something interesting just came out, right? That it's kind of neat. That is along those lines, right?
Yeah. So these kind of photography themed novelty items are hot. I mean, the photography community loves this stuff. I know when those Canon lens mugs came out, they came out along with the Winter Olympics up in Canada a few years ago, and they were giving these Canon lens mugs out as promotional items to the press. And a lot of them quickly found their way on eBay and stuff like that. But so Nikon Japan actually created a cool Nikkor lens alarm clock, which is really neat looking. It looks like a 24-70 f2.8 lens, and the actual alarm sounds like the D4 shutter. And we'll play a little clip of that here.
Yeah, I mean, listen to this.
Can you imagine waking up to that thing in the morning?
Yeah. You wake up to that. It's like, oh my God. That's all they're missing. What they should do is they should have the beep beep, when autofocus locks.
Yeah.
And then the motoring. So it'd be like beep beep, and then beep beep.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's cool. I mean, it looks neat. It's just cool. It's just one of those things that if you're, it's the holiday season, and if your photographer, friend, spouse, or whatnot has, everything, and you're not going to be buying, him or her the latest lens for $3,000. This will probably end up being on eBay. You can probably get it pretty reasonably, and it's kind of cute.
Yeah, it is cool. Right now, they're only available in Japan. They made a limited number of them and such.
Right.
But yeah, definitely keep your eyes peeled. They'll end up on eBay for a lot of money, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But
so anyway, so now we kind of we talked about Adobe last week and a couple weeks before. Originally they said that hey, we've kind of lost some of your passwords and critical information, confidential information for about 3 million of you, and then all of a sudden it went from 3 million to like 38 million.
Yep.
Now we're kind of up a little bit, huh, Trev?
Yeah, we're up to 150 million of your account usernames and passwords, and they're
I can't
saying
believe
again,
that
it's
Adobe
included a lot of
has
inactive accounts, but
Yeah. I mean, how does Adobe have 150 million, accounts? I think that's amazing. Kudos to them. Oh my God. They're gods. That's crazy.
Yeah.
They have to throw in there the caveat that it's both active and inactive. But you know what, guys? I don't care if your account has been inactive for 3 years. It's probably more of an issue because now maybe your email doesn't work either, and they can't send you that message saying, hey, you've been compromised. But active or inactive, it really makes no difference. If they have your confidential information, it's compromised. Period. Go,
Yeah. I mean, if they associate a password that you used with Adobe with an email address, odds are pretty good that there is a very high percentage of people that use the same password for everything.
Sure.
They may use that Adobe password for their regular email password. Now they can compromise your email system and start spamming from your account. They can assume that maybe you have a Facebook page that you're using that email address and that you're using the same password with, and hack that. So, they're really, this is really a big deal, and it's real. And this just continues to go to show how important it is to use strong passwords, not to use, the same weak things or the same consistent password that you use from site to site to site.
Yeah, and what's even worse is besides the email and possibly banking that could be compromised and whatnot. But remember, your credit card information, if you bought anything ever from them, will be online,
Sure.
Or on file with them also.
Yeah.
And it was kind of made known also that the encryption that they use to house or to protect your confidential information was, let's just say not that great.
Yeah, it was insufficient.
So, yes, the technical term, insufficient.
Yes.
So LastPass did something great for everyone, right? Or
they did something. I don't know how great it is, to be honest with you. Yeah, so LastPass, if you're not familiar with them, they're a password security company. They kind of give you the ability to set up LastPass to house all of your usernames and passwords for all your different online services and stuff. And then you can use LastPass to kind of keep track and log in and things like that. So a while back, when there was a LinkedIn hack, they had set up this tool that allowed you to input your email address to detect whether or not your account may have been compromised. Well, they've done the same thing with Adobe, and basically they have access to the database of user IDs, I guess, and you can use this tool. You can put your email address in there, and they'll let you know whether you've been compromised or not. The problem I have with this is I don't know that it really works. Mashable had posted this article, and in the comments of the article, people had said, I went and put my email address in the tool, and it said I was compromised, and I've never even had an Adobe account. So, what is the purpose of this? And they're saying, LastPass is saying, well, we're not collecting or storing this information. But I mean, who really knows? They could be building a massive email list off this.
Yeah,
of
millions and millions of people. But I mean, the way I look at that is, chances are LastPass has all of Adobe's account information, or at least log on, like, for example, username, password, and probably full name anyways. So they've been granted this information, probably 150 million pieces of this information. So I don't think you're going to be giving them anything that they don't really already know, unless you've never had an account with them.
Right.
But how accurate it is, look, guys, if you have ever had an Adobe account, just go change your password. If you use that password anywhere else, go change that too.
Yep.
Simple, and kind of to the point. I've gotten email from them saying that chances are I was compromised, and I also gotten a physical letter from Adobe saying the same, and with a whole list of things that we can do to verify or make sure that we don't have any kind of identity theft going on.
Right.
And some other services that are available to us as possible compromised account holders. So, they're doing their best for an extremely, let's say, horrible situation. But, what can you do? They basically lost everything. They can keep on, adding stuff to the mix. But, when everything is said and done, all source code for every piece of software that's probably ever written by them is gone. It's been compromised, and
they're not admitting everything, but I mean, the fact that they got some of Photoshop, that they got Cold Fusion, they got a couple of the other products and stuff. I mean, it makes you wonder, how much did they really get? Did they get a bunch more stuff too that they're just really not even talking about at this point?
I'm sure the attorneys and law enforcement are just pounding on this hard, but we live at this in this age where people can do things anonymously from anywhere in the world, and it's very difficult to catch up with them, because they can proxy from one proxy to the next, to the next, to the next, and the time you're done, you never find out who it is, because it's been proxied a dozen times. So it's this is the world we live in. It's all about security, and like with the business that you have up and coming there. I mean, you have made at a point to say, listen, I'm not going to be taking credit cards. We're going to let a third party take care of that for us, because I don't want the liability of doing so. And kudos to you. I mean, some of the if you're a big corporation like Adobe or Microsoft or someone like that, you need to have an entire team of security advisors and security implementers and people that are paid to pound on the system to see where there's weaknesses, like the government does. That's your obligation. You're making millions upon millions every year. I mean, hire a team, put it together, and if the team's failing, fire them all and get some new people in there. Hire the 13, 14-year-old. They'll do a better job for you.
I know.
That's what it is.
So the iPad Mini with Retina display is now available in Apple stores. That's kind of exciting news, I know, for a lot of people. I did go online and look at the Apple Store. I kind of just put in like a fictitious order just to check things out, and they are saying shipping in 5 to 10 business days. So, which kind of goes along lines of the other rumors and the other reports that we've been hearing too, that they've been having supplier problems for the screens.
Right.
And I think we might have talked about this on a previous show.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. So they're having problems with their screens now. Quality is not where it should be. When they do QC on it, it's coming up as failure. They're having burn-in problems and some other problems with the screen. And it's funny, they went from their old supplier, Samsung, to LG and Sharp and whatnot. They're just not coming up with the same quality. And now they're going, with their tail between their legs back to Samsung and say, hey, can we get some possible, million screens from you? We would really appreciate it. Just because we sued you and won for a couple of billion. Yeah. That's with a B.
I know.
We still would like to give you some money, for your screens. This is a horrible situation. But on the photography side, these things are just really cool. Retina displays, they're small. They're not as big as the other, full size iPad, and it could be a great portfolio that you could use when you meet with a client instead of bringing your laptop or bringing a full size, iPad with you. They're just gorgeous, period.
They are. They're nice. They're easy to hold in your hands. I really do like them. I think they're going to be really cool. But there's going to be a shortage of these things. They're going to be hot for the holidays. They're going to be hard to get. So if you really, really want one, you got to act now. Me personally, I think I'm going to actually wait a little bit, because if in fact these first batch that hits the market does have the Sharp or LG screens in them, I don't think I really want that. Not if they're having problems. I'm not going to want to have to exchange it or have to send it in for service for them to replace the screen.
Right.
So
I agree. I would say just guys wait for a little bit. I would say it's probably not the Christmas holiday product. Maybe right after would be a good time to purchase, because I'm sure there's a good, even though they're going to be hot and they're going to go quick, I'm sure there's a pretty good supply that have these kind of quote unquote
potential issues.
Potential issue screens that are currently in them. I just don't get into it. I'm one of those people that I just hate buying, first version of anything, just because I don't want to be your beta tester.
Right.
You know what I mean? I just don't. Let someone else pay to beta test your stuff. And when you find all the problems, and it's the same thing with the iPhones. We say that all the time. The iPhone 4, okay, great. iPhone 4S, much better. iPhone 5, definitely not so great. iPhone 5, you know what I mean? It's that kind of thing.
Yep.
The second revision, they kind of work out all the kinks and bugs and, all the hiccups. And now you can get something that just simply works. So I'm more of a proponent of that, for anything that you're going to be using on a regular basis.
And spending a lot of money for it.
Yeah, it's tough. So anyways, guys, before we go any further, let's go ahead and take a quick break to hear from a couple of our sponsors.
Are you frustrated with slightly out of focus images when you know your autofocus spot was dead on? It's simply not your fault. From manufacturer to manufacturer, and even lens copy to lens copy, there are slight variances to the exact spot where light is being focused onto the sensor. Finally, there's a product that allows you to compensate for those variances and make sharper images immediately. Focus Pyramid, the autofocus lens calibration tool, is an absolute must for every photographer. If you want to make the sharpest images possible, then you need to take control over your camera's focusing system. With the Focus Pyramid, you can calibrate all of your lenses on your lunch break. The Focus Pyramid makes lens calibration quick and easy at an affordable price. So give your lenses a new lease on life and take your photography to the next level. Head over to focuspyramid.com/DPC and get an additional 10% off just for being a show listener. As photographers, we're always trying to increase sales and profits after every event.
We shoot an event and have hundreds or even thousands of images that just sit on our hard drives.
Perhaps a better workflow would increase sales by getting those valuable images in front of the client.
That's where ShootProof comes in. At shootproof.com, you can have an online gallery for all of your clients' proofing needs.
ShootProof helps increase profits while building your brand and securing your photos without charging commission fees on sales.
ShootProof galleries display your photos beautifully while helping to streamline your workflow and automate more of your business through their intuitive studio control panel.
Once approved, photos can be directly fulfilled through ShootProof's various professional lab partners or fulfilled by you.
All ShootProof plans have the same feature set. You simply choose the number of client photos stored, decide what products to sell, and the price.
Try ShootProof today by taking advantage of their free 30-day trial offer.
As a Digital Photography Cafe viewer, Shootproof is offering a 20% discount off any of their premium plans by using promo code DPC20 at checkout.
Shootproof. Upload, share, sell, print. All right, so we're back. And, we talk a lot about these GoPro cameras and how, you use them for shooting your events and weddings and stick them in locations where you can't normally put a regular camera. And so there's some reports coming in and a 60 Minutes interview about how the GoPro is now the world's best-selling camera, which I found to be quite interesting.
Yeah, I think it's privately held, I believe, still. And according to what the facts are, is this guy has made, what is it? He's like a billionaire now from these things.
He's a billionaire, yeah. This guy. Yeah. So he started out the CEO, this guy Nick Woodman. He started out with another company that failed. It was a venture capital funded company. Right. Called funbug.com. It was like an online gaming thing or something like that. And apparently it failed fairly badly. Everybody lost their money and what have you. So he decided to take a year off and go surfing. And I guess in the process of doing so, he kind of invented the first iteration of a GoPro, which was a wrist-mounted film camera, like a waterproof film camera.
Film camera.
I know, which is kind of neat. And so he was using it surfing and stuff. And I guess the other surfers thought it was, this was really cool. I mean, nobody else is doing it. And he was actually selling these cameras out of the back of his van to like all the local surfers and stuff.
Yeah, that was back in 2002. I mean, and moving forward, I mean, their revenue has doubled, since GoPro was invented, every single year. It went from, 350K for what is it, 2005, and now it's at 500 million by 2012.
Yep. And now they're on track to double
again. Yeah, so that'll be $1 billion. And you know what? All of the publicity, all of the promotion, all of this that's been going on, all of the buzz, regarding this specific camera, I see it happening. I can see the $1 billion year for this guy, and kudos to him. I mean, I'm going surfing.
Yeah, I know. Seriously. I mean, when you see some of this footage from the mountain bikers and skydivers, mountain climbers, snowboarders, all these different action sports, I mean, it sucks you in. It really, makes you want to do this stuff or appreciate and really feel like
it makes you not want to do this stuff.
Yeah, it's really
you
cool.
enough.
And the fact that these cameras, I mean, we talked about them being mounted on these little drone helicopter things or put on sticks, like just way up in the air or something like that. I mean, you can put these things anywhere, which is so cool about them. And, for like $300-400, I mean, it's really not that bad of a price. You get HD video out of these things. I mean, they're waterproof, shockproof, I mean, you can pretty much put them anywhere, so that's what makes them so cool.
I heard a story where someone, I think, put it onto like a balloon or something and flew it up to 95,000 feet or something crazy.
Yeah, it was
out
on
of the
YouTube.
Atmosphere, pretty much. And it got it back. Yeah, the footage is,
it's cool.
Yeah, I mean, you could do just about anything or put these things just about anywhere. And definitely, as we've said in the past, for your event stuff or even Let's say if you're a portrait photographer, have one or two of these in the studio and conduct an entire session, you should be able to pull out a good, 10, 15, 20 seconds from that entire session of some really cool B-roll of showing you actually working with the model.
Yeah, some good behind the scenes stuff.
What a great promotional, vehicle for what you do that people don't normally see as a, like I said, as a promotional tool. So there's so many different uses of this. And that's why you'll see a lot of these companies now coming out with similar,
trying to play catch up.
This is just what happens. So we'll see a lot of, these cheaper versions. And we talked about a couple a show or two ago also.
Yep.
And that's just what will just simply happen. They'll just start getting cheaper. And GoPro has got such a command on the market. Chances are they will not go down on their price because they won't have to.
They won't need to.
So they don't need to. So the rest of the people will, be out there for the folks that can't afford a GoPro that still need something similar to this, or they need something, let's call it expendable, to go blow up or, or put in harm's way. They didn't want to blow up $400, but they don't mind blowing up $99.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just, they're just simply cool, and different things you can do with it. It's really neat. And that it's a wide, ultra wide angle lens. You're capturing so much of what's going on. You're not missing anything. Yeah,
it's very cool. So we're going to put a link in the show notes for this Anderson Cooper interview that they did with the CEO there on 60 Minutes. Check it out. It's like a 10-minute clip or something like that. But it's pretty interesting. It's one of those really kind of good behind-the-scenes stories of the equipment that we use.
Yeah, it's inspirational to me.
Yeah.
Because I love to see folks that come up with an idea, be it surfing or, on the toilet, but, come up with this amazing idea.
I don't want to see any of that footage, man.
I want to. I want to see, how does this stuff come about? Because there's so many great ideas that come out, and when you find out like how they were how they came about, it's just amazing to me. I'm very fascinated by that. Like, what kind of drives people or compels people to invent? Not the whole idea of iteration. In comparison to actually inventing something new. It's very easy to take something that's already been done and just make it a little bit better.
Sure.
But to actually invent something that's new and, and innovative, it's just cool. It
is cool. I mean, well, honestly, if we're any of us who are in our own creative businesses, we are entrepreneurs. I mean, anybody who works for themselves and works in a creative industry, I mean, you're coming up with creative solutions to problems, and we are entrepreneurs in our own right. And I'm sure that very many of our listeners and viewers probably have that mindset and really have, these creative drives kind of in the background saying, oh, I'd love to do this, or I'd love to invent that, or wouldn't this be a great idea? And that's it. It's one of these, one of those, wouldn't this be a great idea things that comes to fruition,
Yeah. It's funny. Years ago, probably about 4 or 5 years ago, me and my wife, who's a licensed cosmetologist, got together and we started doing what at that point we would call like sensual photography, and eventually termed boudoir photography. Mm-hmm. And we kind of called it classy, not trashy. It was the key words that we associated with it, and we did really well. We were on TV. And whatnot, both Spanish and English TV. And it went over really, really big. And it was kind of, it's been out there, boudoir, for quite some time. And all of a sudden, there's like this surge. Yep. Down here in South Florida, we're seeing like a lot of news crews that are covering boudoir photographers and what they do, and interviewing the women and how they feel, and all this stuff all of a sudden. And it's funny how things take this like progression. It starts out at fledgling, and then all of a sudden it starts working into mainstream, and then once it hits mainstream, at that point, to get into it is kind of like, like we were saying, you're just trying to run after the ball instead of initiating that original kick.
Yeah.
So it's something that all of us as photographers, as entrepreneurs, need to keep in mind is, what can we do different in our business? How can we shoot different? Where can we shoot different? What can we do to kind of, come up with a different product, a different way or something, and, market that? Because that's really what's going to set us apart. Just to do more of the same that everyone else is doing, they can basically get this anywhere. And
it becomes a commodity at that point, rather than a truly creative service, something unique.
Exactly. We were talking about GoPro, and you found a video that just utilized GoPro, and it was on, I think it was the Today Show or whatnot. It's, an amazing video that you showed me, and kind of scary.
Yeah, this was really big news. So basically what it was, there were two small airplanes filled with skydivers. They were going up in the air. They were all going to jump together and stuff like that. And apparently the planes were obviously flying too close. And one plane had higher altitude over the other. Maybe they couldn't see the other plane or what have you, and they were dropping altitude. And they actually landed on top of the bottom plane. Yeah. At that time, some of the skydivers were actually exiting the planes. They're getting out on the wings, on the little platforms there, getting ready to jump just as the planes hit. So, a couple of the people kind of got caught between the two planes, but the bottom plane, it actually snapped the wing off, and the thing just, started plummeting in a fireball. And you see all these bodies jumping out with the parachutes and stuff, and it was crazy, scary.
So multiple GoPros are rolling. You can hear, people are counting the number of shoots to see if all of their mates are going to make it alive or not. And one's going down with one wing and a fireball coming out the other side. And it's just, and these are the type of things you would never be able to see this unless all of these helmet cams were rolling at the time. Right. It's just amazing.
Yeah,
absolutely
they had like
amazing.
5 different helmet cams running. And so they were all capturing it from different angles because they were all falling at different rates in different places. One came out of one plane, other people came out of the other planes. And it was really interesting to see the different perspectives. But apparently the plane that started breaking apart and catching on fire, all of the jumpers got out. The pilot, I guess, wound up grabbing a chute. He jumped out. The rest of the plane just crashed to the ground. The pilot who was in the upper plane, it was damaged. It had a damage to the prop. It had a damage to the wing, but he was actually able to land the plane.
Yeah, he landed the plane. So I guess, he was supposedly, I think, a student pilot or something. But he wasn't on that episode on the show for one reason or another. But regardless, the bottom line here is these GoPros and these type of, small cameras that are mounted to ourselves, it gets into the whole Google goggles or Google Glass and, this type of thing where eventually everything that's happening, everything is going to be captured. It's funny because the woman that actually got sandwiched between the two planes, she even said, I don't even remember. It was actually recording out of my helmet cam, but what it captured, I don't remember happening.
Yeah.
So either she blacked out or she blinked for an excessive period of time, or her brain just shut off. One person said that everything just went into slow motion. Right. And he can actually see everything happening piece by piece, really, So these things are captured, at 30 to 120 frames per second and can be slowed down, and it's HD. It's just absolutely amazing. So
not only from, just using these little cameras for production, you're going to see more of this stuff even being utilized in citizen journalism. Just think if this footage didn't exist, they wouldn't have the story really to talk about in the video to support it at that point. So you're really going to see this type of technology all over the place. Video and cell phones. Everybody has access to video now, and it's changing times. You've always got to be on your best behavior because somebody's going to catch you on video.
Yeah, and thank God for these things because now we'll have even better cat photography.
Yes.
So we'll be able to get down and dirty with the cats. And they've been doing some really funny stuff with these cameras and attaching them to places that I know you found one. I think, what was it? A little girl on like a little scooter or a little.
Yeah. In the 60 Minutes video. Yeah. They showed this clip and this little tiny girl was laying belly down on a skateboard, hanging on to it. And she had both feet off to the side, pushing herself along. And they had a GoPro mounted to the back of the skateboard. And you're watching this little thing do this. And it was so funny. Yeah, it was really good. I want to get one and mount it to my dog and see where she goes when she goes outside.
See what she's actually doing, right? All right, listen, we need to get out of here.
Yes, we do. Yeah, good show, good information. Hope you guys enjoyed it. So Joe, if people want to connect with you outside of Digital Photography Cafe, how's the best way for them to reach you?
You could find me on Twitter, and that's at Joseph Christina, and that's Christina without an H.
Great. And you can connect with me on Twitter. It's at Trevor Current.
So, all right, everyone, we are out of here for another week. You can get all the show notes for this episode by visiting digitalphotographycafe.com/130. And don't forget to send your questions and comments to comments@digitalphotographycafe.com or simply call 440-345-6707. Once again, that's 440-345-6707. And we will see you next week.
You've been watching the Digital Photography Cafe Show with Trevor Current and Joseph Christina. Be sure to subscribe to the show for free in iTunes or through RSS. You can also listen on Stitcher and TuneIn Radio and watch in HD on TiVo. Visit digitalphotographycafe.com for show notes and to connect with your hosts.